Welcome back to NRM 638, Spring Semester 2015. This is an e-learning class at the University of Alaska Fairbanks. In this session, we're going to work on using Python to retrieve information about point, line, or polygon feature classes. So the first thing we'll do is retrieve a feature class Python. So we'll set our arcpy.env.workspace, and I'll grab the test geodatabase from the catalog window, and that will be our workspace. Okay, so typically what we'll do is get a list of feature classes in the current workspace. So I'll make a list, and then we'll use arcpy.list feature classes. And that has some options. We can use a wildcard to specify what we're looking for in terms of a wildcard. So for in this example, let's use a wildcard, any feature class that starts with stream. And then the second parameter would be feature type. So down here in the help panel, we can do feature type arc, line, point, polygon, polyline. So polyline would return only the lines feature classes. So let's use that keyword polyline. Okay, so then what's in our list of feature classes? So in this example, there's one feature class. It started with stream and it was a polyline feature class. And this lowercase u stands for Unicode text or Unicode string. It's basically a string, and it could have many characters. So for example, Chinese characters or Russian characters, etc. So this is our list, and the next step would be to create a string representing one feature class, not just a list. So we could just say our feature class is going to be equal to our list of feature classes, and take that first item from the list. So that will be the first item from our list. So then what is the type of that variable? It's a Unicode string, and what's inside that variable? So it's just this Unicode text stream lines. Okay, if we look at our stream properties and then go to the source tab, we have things like data type, feature class, feature type, coordinate system, extent. We could retrieve these properties in the Python window. Okay, so we're going to use arcpy.describe, and then the describe function returns a describe object. So that will have many properties about our feature class. So then we would put in our variable feature class, which in this case contains stream lines. So that will return a describe object. It will have many properties. So if we go desfc dot, let's say dataset type. So the dataset type is feature class. And then if I press the up arrow key, is the shape type. So the shape type is polyline. And then if I press up the up arrow key, what is the path? So the path is the container our feature class is inside of. So it could be a folder if it's a shapefile, or it's a geodatabase if it's a geodatabase feature class. And what is the base name? So the base name is basically the name of our feature class that's in our path container. And then what's the catalog path? So press the up arrow key, and the catalog path. So the catalog path is basically the full path to that feature class. So it's a geodatabase path plus the name of the feature class. Okay, we can also get information about the extent of our feature class. So that would be the same thing as if we go to properties, here's the extent, the left, top, bottom, and right. And we could actually get more information in the Python window than we can from our layer properties. Okay, so we would go create this new object, feature class extent, and that will have many properties, and it's going to be equal to our description object dot extent. So the extent is a rectangle specified by providing the coordinates of the lower left and upper right. So then if we hit return, we can look at all the properties of our extent. So we could retrieve, for example, the width of our extent. So that's the width of our extent. Or we could retrieve the height of our extent. Or we could retrieve the x minimum value of our extent. So here's the x minimum value of our extent. So it's 435734, which is right here, 435734. So basically you can retrieve any of these extent properties and use them however you need to use them. And if you need more information about this extent, if you go to ArcGIS help, so we search for extent and extent ArcPy. Here are the properties associated with the extent object. So if we have measurements, the minimum and maximum of measurements, the X and Y minimum and maximum, if we've got elevation or depths as Z's, the extent of the Z max, Z min, the height, the width, the upper left, whatever you want, you could retrieve as a property of your extent object. Okay, another property we commonly are interested in is the coordinate system. So in this example, we've got a projected coordinate system. It's UTM NAD 83 zone 6 north, and it's based on GCS NAD 83. So we could retrieve these properties by creating what's called a spatial reference object in our Python window. So that would simply be our describe object dot spatial reference, and that's going to return another object that will have all the properties of the spatial reference system. And then we could look at some of those properties. So for example, what is our spatial reference dot type? So it is a projected coordinate system for that feature class. And what is the unit of that projected coordinate system? It's in meters. It's a UTM coordinate system. And then we could even export to a string our spatial reference information. So I'll call this string coordsys equals to our spatial reference object, and then dot export to string. So I press the tab key. So export all the information about our spatial reference object to a string, and then we'll print that string. So that's what's contained in the spatial reference object. It's a projected coordinate system, all the parameters. And if you look at in ArcGIS help, spatial reference ArcPy, all the properties are listed in that help. So for example, GCS would return the geographic system that our projected system is based on. So that will return the properties of our geographic coordinate system. And then what is the datum name of our geographic coordinate system? So it's NAD 83. And what is the spheroid name? So the spheroid that NAD 83 is based on is GRS 1980. And we could return properties of our projected coordinate system. So for example, what is the projection? So it's a transverse Mercator projection that's being used. And what's the name of our projected coordinate system? So it's NAD 83 UTM zone 6 north. And then what's the central meridian of UTM zone 6 north? So the central meridian is 147 degrees west. So basically, I've got these properties, looking them up in ArcGIS help, and you could retrieve any property of the coordinate system you want, and typically what gets returned are strings or integer or double precision values. So for example, the central meridian returns in double precision the value of the longitude at the central meridian. And PCS name returns a string, which in this example was this Unicode string, NAD 83 UTM zone 6 north. Okay, so if you go to the Blackboard website, I've got a quiz question for you, and that will lead you to the next video session, which is retrieving raster properties.